Friends, in this video, we are detailedly study about the review of direct and quadrature axis model of your induction motor. So let's begin. In this video, we are detailedly study about the review of the DQ model of your induction motor. But before we going to start that particular bit, we want to understand first of all what do you mean by the induction motor. Basically, induction motor is a machine which will be operated on the working principle of the mutual induction. So as we know that in the mutual induction, what will happen according to the construction of your induction motor, this will be your stator part of your induction motor. We call it as the stator part of your induction motor. This will be the rotor of your induction motor, as we call it as the rotor part. So as we know that in between stator and rotor there should be a uniform air gap. So what will be the function of your three-phase induction motor? While we are giving the three-phase supply to the stator winding, basically we are giving the supply to your stator winding, that is R, Y, B, and we call it as this will be the stator winding of your induction motor. This will be the rotor part. As we know that these are the rotor conductors which are short circuited by the end ring by means of your induction motor. So this will be the part which is called as the rotor. When we are giving the supply to your stator phase winding, then at that time the voltage will be given at that particular point. It will produce a speed that is called as the synchronous speed, that is ns is equal to 120f upon p. So while we are giving the supply to the stator winding, so it will produce the rotating magnetic field. We called it as rmf. Okay, so it is called as a rotating magnetic field. So it is a rotating magnetic field. So by means of this rotating magnetic field, which will be called it as a production of the synchronous speed. And what do you mean by the synchronous speed? It is the speed of your rotating magnetic field, that is ns is equal to 120 upon p. That is the f is called as frequency and p is called as number of pole. So due to the presence of this rotating magnetic field, the flux will be produced in that particular air gap. So the flux will be produced in that particular air gap. So as we know that due to the production of that particular flux, we call it as the mutual flux. So that flux will be induced in that particular rotor conductor. So as we know that these rotor conductors are basically short circuited by the end ring. So as we know that when a current carrying conductor placed in an electromagnetic field, it experiences a force. So according to that, the working principle of that particular thing, if the flux is linked with that particular conductor, an EMF will be induced in that particular motor. And due to that, the EMF production of your induction motor, that is the EMF which is called as the induced EMF. So that's why such type of motor is called as the induction motor. So this will be the actual working and detailed understanding of your induction motor. So same thing will be applicable to understand the various concepts of your induction motor. So as we know that we are giving the three-phase supply to your stator winding of your induction motor. So we want to understand first of all this phasor representation of your induction motor. Then we want to convert that the induction motor, because as we know that in induction motor we are using three phases. So while we are understanding the DQ model of your induction motor, first of all you should know what should be the equivalent circuit of your induction motor. So friends, as we know that the equivalent circuit of your induction motor, according to the, or we call it as a refer to the stator circuit. So this will be the stator value of resistance, this will be the stator value of reactance, we called it as reactance. So this will be the mutual reactance of your circuit, and this will be the called it as the stator reactance. This is the rotor resistance, and as we call it as this will be the rotor part. So the current flowing through that particular is is, the current flowing through that particular circuit is ir. So the current flowing through that magnetizing band, which is called as im, so it is called as rs, it is xs, it is as we call it as, if it is referred to the stator, so it is called as xs or xr dash, and it is called as rr dash. So this all circuit will be referred to the stator value, and we are giving the supply voltage, because for understanding we are giving the three-phase supply, but for understanding we refer this circuit as a per phase equivalent circuit. Okay, So it is per phase equivalent circuit of your induction motor. So friends, from that particular per phase equivalent circuit of your induction motor, as we know that the voltage is look like that, and the voltage which will be present at the rotor circuit is S time E, because as we know that the very important concept in concern with your induction motor, this is called as the basically slip into frequency, because as we know that in concern with slip is equal to ns minus n r upon ns, where ns is called as the synchronous speed and nr is called as the rotor speed of your induction motor. So friends, now we want to understand very important concept. Friends, while we are studying or the DQ model of your induction motor, as we know that we are applying a three-phase supply, so this will be called it as the three-phase supply. We call it as a phase A, this is phase B, and phase C. Okay, so this is 120-degree apart from each other, because as we know that this will be the three-phase system. So in three-phase system, each angle between each phases will be 120 degrees. So it is three-phase system, means we are applying the phase, that is R phase, we call it as R phase, this is Y phase and B phase. While we are applying, the phase displacement between each phase will be the 120 degree. So friends, for the understanding of the detailed concept of the DQ model, first of all we want to convert this particular system into a various form. That will be the these two system which will be called it as RYB, that is called as basically a phasor representation. Now we want to convert this phasor representation into phasor representation. Even you have to convert this according to your stationary reference frame. So why we call it as a stationary reference frame? Because while we are converting this into the stationary reference frame, we are getting the quantities which are available, that is as we call it as the first winding, which is called as R winding, or we called it as R coil. This will be the Y coil, or B coil, we call it as B, and C coil, because all three coils are wounded on your stator voltage winding. This is called as all stator winding. Similarly, while we are understanding the detailed concept, we are having the value which is called as the rotor winding. So it is called as the rotor winding. It is the rotor winding. Each of stator phase will be induced with the help of the rotor, so it is called as a rotor winding. So these are called as the stator winding, and these are the pseudo coils. We called it as the rotor coil. This is the stator coil and this is the rotor coil. So this is basically actually friends three-phase phasor representation. Now we want to understanding this phasor representation by means of the axis which is called as alpha and beta. Basically this alpha beta representation given by the Clark's transformation. So in that particular Clark's transformation, first of all we can write or we can draw the stator coils. Okay, so this will be the stator coils of each and every alpha and beta reference. So this will be the stator coil. So we call it as stator coil. So we call it as alpha S, and this is called as beta S because it is a stator kind of winding. The voltage that we are given at the alpha coil, that is positive, that is negative, that will be again positive, and this will be again negative. The current flowing through that particular beta, which will be called it as I beta, and the current flowing through that particular coil is called as I alpha. We call it as the current which will be flowing through that particular coil, that is the stator coil, which is I alpha. So friends, again it will be called as the stator coil, okay, with reference to alpha, with reference to theta. So similarly we want to draw the pseudo rotor coil in the two frame reference. So this will be the pseudo coil of your rotor. So this will be the rotor coil of your pseudo, as we call it as the current flowing through that particular rotor, that is I beta R. We call it as I beta R, and the current flowing through that particular stator coil, rotor coil, in concern with the alpha angle, it is called as I alpha R, and the total voltage across it is alpha RS. So the total voltage across it is beta RS. So this will be the actual representation with the help of the stationary reference frame. So why we want to convert this three-phase phasor representation into two-phase stationary reference frame? Because while we are getting the conversion from the three-phase to the two-phase stationary reference frame, we are getting the all values in concern with the only two frames only. So it will be very easy to understand or get the actual DQ model of your induction motor. Okay, so friends, this will be the actual representation. So again, I can write this will be the stator coil and this will be the rotor coil. So it will be the conversion from three-phase supply to your two-phase by means of the stationary reference frame. Okay, but friends, while we are studying to the DQ model, again we want to convert that the three-phase supply into two-phase stationary reference frame. Again we want to convert that stationary reference frame to a direct and quadrature axis, because this will be the stationary frame, but as we know that the induction motor will be rotating at a synchronous speed. So we want to convert that the stationary reference frame into a arbitrary, or we call it as a rotating reference frame. Okay, so that will be the very important concept of the DQ model. So friends, first of all, we can write what will be the values of these voltages, these currents in the alpha and beta reference, that is called a stationary frame reference. So friends, now we can write the very important equation of your induction motor, that is in concern with the alpha and beta reference. So friends, you want to write first of all the various voltage equations. So this is called as V alpha, that is the voltage of your alpha coil, V beta, that is voltage of your beta coil, and we call it as V0, that is zero sequence component. Similarly, we want to get the value of the V alpha R, because these are the all terms are associated with the stator, and similarly we want to get the three terms associated with the rotor. So V beta R, and as we know that V0 R. Okay, so these are the six term which will be called it as this is basically three terms are referred to your stator part, and these three terms are referred to your rotor part, as we call it as a rotor part. So this will be the voltage value. If you want to get the value which is called as the input of your system, we call it as input of your system. Now we want to get the value of that particular voltage reference, we call it as the operational impedance matrix. If you want to get the value of the operational impedance matrix, so we want to develop one impedance matrix, so in which we call it as the RS, where RS is called as the stator resistance. I can write here where RS is called as the value of your stator resistance. It is very important, that will be the alpha and beta reference value, because from the alpha and beta reference value we want to convert into direct and quadrature axis component. So it is RS plus P LS, where we call it as LS is called as the self-inductance. Okay, so this will be the impedance matrix basically. So similarly for the second, that is 0 0, and if you want to get at the fourth terminal, that is 3 by 2 into MSRP. So friends, next very important concept, what do you mean by LS? So we call it as LS is the self inductance, MS is called as basically mutual inductance between phases, that is mutual inductance, because as we know that the working inductance between phases. So as we know that the working principle of your induction motor that we had already discussed earlier, when the working principle of your induction motor, we call it as the production of EMF is equal to minus d phi by dt, that is a rate of change of flux with respect to time. So to be the time variant reference, so that's why we call it as all the phasors with respect to time variant. But if you want to get the DQ model, these are the time invariant system. So as we know that in concern with that, now we want to write the value of the mutual inductance between phases. Similarly, we want to get the value of your LR. LR is called as again the self inductance of your rotor circuit. So again the fifth and sixth parameter will be the 0 0. Okay, so this will be the first matrix. Okay, so similarly we want to calculate the value for your beta axis. So it is for 0, then it will be give you the RS plus PLS, then again it will be the 0, then again it will be the 0, again this is for the fifth 3 by 2 SRP, again last term is 0. Then for your zero reference, as we know that this will be the zero sequence component. So the zero sequence component will give you the third parameter, that is RS plus PLS. So as you know that this will the diagonal elements are there. So this will be the 0, 0 and 0. So this will be the first part in concern with your stator. Similarly, we want to get the second part in concern with, as I can write here for your understanding, this is for rotor circuit and this is all parameter referred to your stator circuit. So as we know that we want to find out the value in concern with your rotor circuit. So in concern with that, we are getting the first diagonal matrix, that is 3 by 2 MSR into P, because these terms are all basically referred to your rotor circuit. Similarly, we are getting with the help of that particular 3 by 2 into MR into omega R. So where omega R is the angular velocity of your rotor. Then as we know that this will be the third terminal will be the 0, then we call it as RS plus LRP. The fifth, that is LR, we called it as omega R, because these all terms are related to your angular velocity R. So similarly, we are getting the fifth in concern with your beta, that is minus 3 by 2 MSR into omega R, because MSR is basically mutual inductance referred to your rotor circuit. So again it will be 3 by 2, that is MSRP, the next term, and we are getting the value of LS and omega R, and we are getting this is RS plus LR into P, and the last term will be the 0, that is 1 2 3 4 5, and last term is 0. Okay, 0 matrix. Similarly, for your 0 sequence component in concern with your rotor circuit, it will give you the 0 0 0 0 0, and this last term again it will be the diagonal, so the last term will be RS plus LR into P. This is for your rotor circuit, this is for your basically stator circuit element, this is for your rotor circuit element. So this will be give you the alpha, beta and zero sequence component, as we know that, because basically V is equal to IR. So this will be the called as the operational impedance. This whole matrix will be treated as an operational impedance matrix. So it will be the operational impedance matrix. We call it as operational impedance matrix. And in concern with that, we want to calculate the value, because we have the fundamental formula, that is voltage is equal to, that is impedance, we call it as Z into I. So this is total operational Z impedance matrix, and this will be the current matrix. So we want to get the value of current, that will be called it as I alpha into I beta into I zero sequence component. This is referred to your stator. Similarly, if you want to get the value, that is I alpha R for rotor circuit, I beta R and I 0R. So this is called as the total operational of your alpha and beta reference thing. Okay, so this will be the conversion of your the phase voltage into a stationary frame. Now we want to get the conversion of this alpha beta variable into a rotating form. So friends, now we can understand again the basic fundamental things of your induction motor. So as we seen in the particular diagram, we are getting the phase, this is the phase A, this is phase B and this is phase C. So friends, this is called as the stator of your induction motor, this is called as a rotor of your induction motor. And as we know that the rotor of your induction motor will be rotating at a synchronous speed, that is omega m. We call it as omega m because omega ms, we call it as synchronous speed, that is 120f upon p, or we call it as ns, that is 120f upon p. Okay, so this will be the rotor with an angle of theta. So friends, this is the whole part which is called as a rotor. So friends, in that particular we are having the three-phase displacement between phases A and B. So this is A and phase displacement will be 120 degree. So this is B and C, this again phase displacement will be 120 degree. Again the phase, then C and A, again this phase displacement will be the 120 degree. So this is the three-phase supply which will be applied across to your stator and rotor part of your induction motor. So as we know that this will be the called as the coil that we had already discussed earlier. So these are the coils which will be represented by, this will be the coil A, for phase A, this will be the coil B. For phase B, this is called as the stator coil. This is the coil C, basically for your circuit, that is we called it as a three-phase winding. So this is for your C. So this is called as all are the stator windings. Similarly, the blue color will show you the rotor winding. Okay, so this is the rotor winding, which will be, this will be the rotor winding. So this is the rotor winding for phase A. So that's why it is called as AR. This will be the rotor winding of your phase B. That's why it is called as BR. And this will be the rotor winding of your phase C. So this is called as the CR. So this will be the actual representation of your three-phase winding. So now friends, we want to convert that three-phase phasor winding into a stationary frame. So for the sake of that, we want to understand again this phasor. So in that particular phasor, we call it as the alpha. So this will be the first of all we can understand. This will be the phasor which is called as A phasor. Okay, so this will be the phasor A. This will be the phasor B. Okay, and this will be the phasor C. So each phase will be displaced by 120 degree apart from each other. So friends, this is actual phasor representation. We call it as, so the angle between these two, again it is 120 degree. So this is called as a phasor, that is three phasor representation. So friend, now we want to convert that three-phase phasor representation by means of your alpha and beta terminal, or we call it as that the three-phase windings or the three-phase supply will be converted into a stationary frame. So the stationary frame will be represented by, again this is the alpha frame. We call it as with the help of the different color, that is beta. So this is called as basically stationary frame. Stationary frame. And now we want to convert that the stationary frame, because as we know that the basic fundamental thing, because this will be the three-phase supply, now we have converted this parameter into a two-phase stationary. But as we know that the induction motor will be continuously rotating, so we want to convert that stationary frame into a rotary frame. We called it as, this will be representation with the help of D and Q axis. So this is du, which is called as one axis, which is called as direct axis, and Q, which is called as a quadrature axis. Q is called as the quadrature axis. So in this will be the Q. Q is called as a quadrature axis. So what will be the benefit? Because this will be the dynamic model of your induction motor. So D axis and Q axis basically called it as with reference to rotating frame, because as we know that these all systems are basically rotating. So all these systems are basically rotating, means this D and Q axis are continuously rotating, because while the three-phase supply is changing depending upon, because it is a rotary circuit, and if the rotary circuit will move, then the D axis and Q axis both are rotating at a different angle. So what should be that particular angle? So the angle between that particular thing is, we call it as alpha, and with reference to the reference axis we want to change, obviously, because according to the one diameter principle, that is E is equal to minus d phi by dt. So phi is called as flux, and if you want to get the value of the flux, we want to change the flux density, that is called as psi. So that's why the symbol will be represented by the psi. So this will be the symbol of your flux density. So this will be the understanding concept while we are converting this three-phase quantity into a stationary frame. Now it will be converted into a rotating frame. Okay, so this will be the development of your DQ model of your induction motor. So friends, again I can write this whole thing with the help of the different representation. So in representation we call it as, this will be the reference axis, because as we know that in concern with your stationary frame, again there are two axes. First one is a stator and second one is the rotor. So friends, first of all we can understand this will be the first part, which is called as a coil, that is two frame. So this is called as the stator axis. So this is alpha s. Similarly, we have the value of beta s. So this will be again the stator winding, which will be represented by here. That will be the displacement between these is 90 degree, that is perpendicular to each other, alpha and beta. This is for your stator values. I can again separately write, it is for your stator value. Again this is for your stator value of your beta. Similarly, we have calculated, this will be the part related to the stator. Again this will be the part related to your rotor. So it is called as alpha R. So this is the circuit which is related to your rotor. So it is called as alpha R. Similarly, this will be the displacement between alpha R and beta R. Again, it will be 90 degree. So in concern with that, again we have drawn one coil which is reference to your rotor circuit. So this will be the coil of your rotor circuit, and this is coil related to your beta. So we call it as the beta R. Okay. So this will be the stator value, this will be the rotor value, this will be the stator value, this will be the rotor value. So these are the stationary values, or these are basically with respect to your stationary frame. Now we want to convert that the stationary frame into a rotating frame, which is referenced by the D axis and Q axis. So friends, as we know that this will be the again the stator winding of your D axis, and this will be the stator winding of your Q axis. We call it as the conversion from the stationary frame into a rotating frame. Okay, so this is called as direct axis component, and this will be the quadrature axis component. This will be the quadrature axis component. So friends, as we know that from the direct axis component we can control the value of the flux, and from the quadrature axis component we can control the value of your torque, because as we know that these are the responsible to production of the mechanical power of your induction motor, and as we know that the mechanical power will be represented by the product of torque into speed. So this is called as the rotor winding of your dill, that is called as the D axis, and this is the rotor winding of your Q axis. So the voltage production or the current flowing through that particular coil, which is called as IRD, as we called it as IRD. So it is ISQ. Basically it is a quadrature axis, so it is ISQ. This is IRQ. This is the stator part, so it is IDS, and it is IDR. So now we can represent these various values of current with respect to a different frame. Okay, so this will be the actual understanding, that will be the three-phase supply. Now it will be converted into a stationary frame, that is alpha and beta. Now it will be converted into a rotating frame. This is called as a direct axis and quadrature axis component. Now friends, we want to understand what do you mean by the direct axis and quadrature axis. So friends, this will be actual stator, and this will be which will be called it as a rotor. So this term are called as KD and KQ, because this is all the stator part. So this is the basically the stator winding, we called it as the stator winding. This will be called as the rotor winding. This will be the shaft, we call it as the basic field things. So this is direct axis component. This will be rotating with the help of omega m, that is angular velocity. So this will be the stator winding. Similarly, by means of that particular rotor circuit, we are getting one of the constant term in concern with rotor bar. So we call it as with the direct axis it is KD, and for quadrature axis it is KQ. So this will be the representation of that particular rotor and stator circuit with reference to direct axis and quadrature axis, because now we want to get the all equivalent circuit or the model of your induction motor with the reference of that D axis and Q axis. Okay, so friends, now we want to develop this model by means of the simple equivalent circuit, because previously we have drawn the simple equivalent circuit, that is per phase equivalent circuit of your induction motor, but now we want to develop the per phase equivalent circuit in concern with D and Q model. Okay, so what do you mean by the per phase equivalent circuit in concern with D and Q model? So first of all, we can neglecting the rotor leakage reactance. This will be the very important thing, because we want to reduce or we want to neglect these rotor leakage reactance. Then basically the IDS and IQS. So IQS or the IDS will be responsible for the production of flux, and IQS will be response to the production of your torque. So this will be represented by, so again friends, in that particular circuit we call it as Vs is the supply voltage, which again this circuit will be the per phase equivalent circuit. So in per phase equivalent circuit we are having the value of Vs, so I call it as Vs is a stator voltage. Rs is called as the stator resistance, that is stator resistance. L1s it is called as stator leakage reactance, and we are basically neglecting rotor leakage reactance, so no rotor reactance will be present here. we are getting the value of rr dash r. It is the slip component in terms of we call it as a slip component. We shown the slip component of rotor resistance by here, that is rr by s. Okay, where s is called as a slip. So as we know that the fundamental formula of slip, that is ns minus nr upon ns. So along with that very important term which is called as lm, where lm should be called it as the mutual inductance of your rotor circuit of your induction motor, that is mutual inductance of your rotor circuit. So friends, these are the various two-phase equivalent circuit of your induction motor. So in which we call it as the IDS will be responsible for the production of flux, and the IQS, that is a quadrature axis current, will be responsible for the production of torque. And the value of your stator current, because as we know that this will be the value of the stator current, which is called as IS, that is a transpose of the value of the IS. Now it will be divided into two components. First component which is called as IQS, which will be shown by here, and second component which we call it as IDS will be shown by here. So basically the IDS will be responsible for the production of flux and IQS will be responsible for the production of torque. So this is called as IDS because the rotor current, that is IR, is divided into two parts, or we call it as IS is divided into two parts. So we call it as IDS square plus IQS square. So the rotor current again, so this will be the rotor part will be divided into two parts, that is IQS plus IDS. IDS is called as direct axis current of that particular circuit, and the IQS is called as a quadrature axis current of that particular circuit. So friends, as you know that while we are designing the value of your IDS is basically component related to the flux. So while we are designing at that time, rotor flux density is equal to the mutual flux density. We call it as the different excitation term because while we are drawing the phasor diagram, we want to understand this concept. So this is the per phase equivalent circuit of your direct and quadrature axis model of your induction motor. So in this particular circuit, what we are getting, that we are converting the values of your current that will be previously called it as the three-phase value of current. It will be converted into a stationary rotating frame. Now it will be converted into a rotating frame. So rotating frame means what? The current will be divided into two components. First component is called as the IDS. This is called as a direct axis component, and second will be which is called as a quadrature axis component. So friends, now we can again detailedly study d-axis component and quadrature axis component. What will be the effect of that particular direct axis component on your circuit, and what will be the effect of your quadrature axis, because in the previous diagram we are getting these both terms simultaneously, but now we want to understand the each and every one concept in detail. So friends, this will be the d-axis component or the d-axis model of your three-phase induction circuit. So as we know that in that particular circuit the current will be flowing, which will be called as ISD, that is the d-axis component. So the RA, which will be called as the armature resistance, or we call it as the stator resistance with respect to the coil A. Okay, this will be the inductance, that will be the circuit inductance LA. Okay, the current will which will be flowing through the mutualizing branch, that is called as MD. So this is LM will be the mutual inductance. The LA is basically rotor inductance of your d-axis component of your induction motor, and RA will be the resistance of your rotor circuit of your d-axis component of your induction motor. The current which will be flowing through that particular circuit, which will be called it as IRD. So it will be IRD is the current by means it will be flowing through that particular rotor circuit. As we know that this will be the VSD, so it is a voltage to the d-axis component, and as we see in that particular diagram, the rate of change of flux, that is flux density with respect to the time, because this is the time variant quantity, because as we know that the working fundamental principle E is equal to minus d phi by dt. So the rate of change of flux changing means the rate of changing of the flux density. So this is d phi sd divided by dt. Similarly, in concern with the rotor circuit, we are getting the term that is d phi by rd. So this is referred to your rotor circuit, so we call it as the direct axis with reference to rotor, so it is d phi by rad divided by dt. So it will give the terms though. So the first terms with respect to your stator circuit, that is omega s is equal to angular velocity into psi into sd, which refers to your stator circuit. But as we know that in concern with your rotor circuit, the production of your slip, so slip, as we know that the slip value will be getting in terms of the rotor circuit, so it will be giving you the omega s minus omega m into psi into rotor circuit RD. So this will be the representation of the D axis component of the equivalent that is direct axis model of your induction motor. Similarly, we can see the quadrature axis model of your induction motor. So this will be the quadrature axis model of your induction motor. So again we are supplying the voltage with respect to the quadrature axis, because in concern with that we are finding out the separately value of your this is for your torque calculation and this is for your flux calculation. So for the sake of that, friends, again we are giving the value of your current, that is isq, that is a stator value of current with respect to the q frame. This is ra, that is small a, which is called as the resistance of your stator circuit with reference to quadrature axis. This is la, this will be the value of the inductance of your quadrature axis component of your current. Okay, so the rate of change of flux density, that is d phi by sq divided by dt, which will give you the rate of change of flux density with respect to time, and this will give you omega s into phi into sd, or we call it as the phi into sq. So it is a quadrature axis component. Similarly, we are getting the value of the mutual inductance. This is called as lms. Okay, so LMR actually. So this is the LA. LA is the inductance of the rotor circuit of your quadrature axis. RA is the resistance of the quadrature axis resistance. The current will be flowing, that is IRQ from the rotor circuit. So as we know that the rate of change of flux with respect to the quadrature axis, that is the flux density with respect to rotor circuit, that is d psi rq divided by dt, will give you the value of, that is omega s minus omega m into psi into rq. So this is called as the quadrature axis equivalent circuit of your induction motor. Okay, so this is with reference to your quadrature axis. Now friends, we are getting very important term. So this model that we had already discussed. So first this three-phase model will be converted into, so I can write here so you can get the very basic concept. So this is a three-phase module which will be converted by means of the Clark's transformation. So this Clark transformation which will be converted into two-phase stationary frame, STA, stationary frame, and from stationary frame now we want to convert, that is two-phase rotating frame. Rotating frame. So this will be the phasor representation that we had already discussed. So this will be the three phase, that will be the phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. In that particular we have written, that is I mu, I v and I omega. Each of them are displaced by 120 degree. So it is 120 degree. Again it will be the 120 degree. So now we want to convert, that will be the into alpha into beta. So this is the reference value which is called as the beta. This will be the beta axis, this will be the alpha axis. We can take what we, and this will be the resultant of this f that we have to calculate. So this is omega, so the current flowing through that the alpha, and the current flowing through that particular will be the beta. Now we want to convert that stationary frame into a rotating frame by means of this direct and quadrature axis. So we have defined the direct axis component and quadrature axis component. So what we have, so these are the direct axis component. So these are the direct axis component D, and this is the quadrature axis component. This will be the D. We call it as, this is D direct axis, this is quadrature axis, and the resultant of this will be getting from F, because we want to get the value of resultant F. Okay, so the angle between from the reference axis, that is theta. So this is three phase to the two phase stationary frame and two phase to the two-phase rotating frame. This done with the help of the three-phase to two-phase by means of the Clark's transformation. So we are getting the value of the I alpha and I beta that we had already calculated in concern with your V alpha and V beta. Similarly, we can get the value of the I alpha and I beta. So the value of the current with the help of the Clark's transformation, because Clark transformation will give you the transformation between alpha and beta reference with the help of that IA, IB and IC. So we are getting this value of the current. Similarly, by the changing of this two-phase stationary frame into a two-phase rotating frame by the means of the Park transformation, and this Park transformation will give you the value of the direct axis current and quadrature axis current, because this direct axis current will be responsible for the production of flux and the quadrature axis current will be responsible for the production of your torque. So by means of that we are getting this value, which are converted by means of the I alpha into I beta, because I alpha and I beta, which is called as a stationary frame. So by means of that we can get the direct and quadrature axis module, that is DQ model of your induction motor. So this is very important term which is called as series transformation. So what do you mean by the series transformation? So the first transformation, that is three phase into two phase by means of the class transformation, and from class transformation to Park transformation, that is the two-phase stationary frame into a two-phase rotating frame. So this is the series transformation which will be useful for your direct and quadrature axis module or DQ model of your induction motor. So friends, now we can understand how we can get the Park transformation with the help of that particular circuit. For the sake of that, friends, now we can understand the detailed concept of your circuit. So first of all, we want to find out the value of your reference frame. So what should be the reference frame? I can get the value of your direct and quadrature axis current first of all. So friends, first of all we can draw the phasor representation of your circuit. So this will be the phasor representation. Again I can draw for the sake of understanding. So this will be the alpha frame, or we call it as, it will be the frame which is called as alpha and beta frame. So this is the alpha frame and this is the beta frame. Okay, so if you want to get the value of the alpha and beta frame, this is the stationary frame, but now we want to convert this frame into a quadrature axis or direct axis. So it is a rotating frame. So this will be the we call it as, this is the D frame. So it is direct axis component. So this will be the direct axis stator winding, and similarly 90-degree apart from which we want to draw one phasor which is called as quadrature axis, that is Q axis. And Q axis, the current flowing through that Q axis will be called IQ, and current which will be flowing through that particular direct axis component is ID. So from the stationary reference frame, the angle between that particular alpha into del, we called it as this angle as a, we called it as the angle as a del, and the angle between, the total angle between alpha and beta, we call it as the angle between that particular thing, because we want to get the reference from D and alpha, or we call it as a direct axis and quadrature axis. We are getting resultant here, so this will be the value of your resultant, we call it as F, and the angle from the reference angle, this is called as the phi. So this angle total, which is called as basically this total angle, which is called as phi. And what do we mean by the angle between this direct axis component to the resultant field? So this angle will be given by, obviously, that is phi minus del. Okay, so this will be the very important thing. So what do you mean by the phi? So what do you mean by the phi? I can write the phi is basically mmf produced, or we call it as mmf produced by phi, that is magnetomotive force produced by flux, that is mmf produced by flux. Okay, and we called it as the n alpha beta. So what do you mean by the n is called as basically number of turns. So if you call it as n alpha beta, so these are the called as the number of turns of your stator winding. So it is n alpha beta. So from the basic fundamental, we can get the value of the n, that is the number of turns in the alpha beta. So we call it as n alpha beta is equal to, that is the value of current, that is I alpha into cos phi plus n alpha beta, that is IB, that is current flowing through the D, and sin phi. We call it as, this will be equal to your resultant, that is F, that is resultant F. We call this will be the basically help of with your phasor representation. So what do you mean by the I alpha? That is I alpha is called as the instantaneous, that is instantaneous value of your current. So it is called as I alpha. So it is instantaneous value of your current. So from figure we can get very important relationship, that is from figure we can get one very important relationship, that will be the total phi, that is phi is equal to del plus phi minus del. So what do you mean by this term? So if you want to get the value of this phi, if you want to get the value of this phi, total phi is equal to what? That is del plus phi minus del, because this will be the total phi, because phi is basically called as the mmf produced by your winding. So if you want to get the value of phi is equal to del is the angle between basically the reference frame, that is alpha frame, to the d axis, and what do you mean by the angle? That is called as we call it as phi. So this will be the angle which is equal to the phi minus del. So phi is equal to del plus, so this will be getting from your phasor representation. So friends, now we want to get the value of this term, that is phi, into that particular equation. So if you want to get the value of this resultant f, because we want to get the d and k axis current component, okay, because we want to find out the value of the current flowing through that particular branch and current flowing through that particular branch. So we want to substitute the value of the phi into that particular equation. That will be the very important equation that we want to understand. So we want to substitute the value of this term into that term. So we are getting very important resultant, and these are the resultant. Now we can rewrite this equation by means of a simple fundamental thing, and these are the fundamental thing which is responsible to getting the resultant value of your flux. So what should be that particular value of your flux? Now we can write here the value of your fundamental flux. So this will be the flux value, or we call it as a resultant, that is f is equal to, that will be term which I can write, that is n alpha beta into I alpha into cos alpha or cos phi plus n alpha beta into I beta into sine phi. Okay, now we want to substitute the value of phi. So now we can put the value of phi, that is phi is equal to del plus phi minus del into that equation. This will be the equation number 1. In equation 1 we are getting term. What are that particular term? So we are now substituting, that is f is equal to, we want to take the common term, that is n alpha beta into both terms. So n alpha beta, in bracket we write it as the I alpha cos, that is del plus phi minus del, plus we can write it as I b sine, again we want to substitute the value of theta, that is del plus phi minus del. This is the equation. So we are getting some of the term, that is cos a plus b sine a plus b. Now we want to substitute this formula, that is cos a plus b sine a plus b, for the mathematical simplification. So we are getting the term, that is n alpha beta is equal to, we call it as I alpha into cos del, that is cos a, into cos b, that is cos phi minus del, minus, because this will be the cos a plus b, that is cos a into cos b, minus sin a into sin b. So we call it as I alpha, that is sin del into sin phi minus del. Okay, so this will be the first term. Again we want to calculate the second term, so plus, we call it as plus, or we can continue this term, that is plus to plus here, plus again we want to calculate the value of the sine a plus b. So it will be the current, that is IB into sine a into cos b, that is cos minus d, plus IB, that is the current in the B coil, that is B into cos a into sine b. So this is the mathematical formulation. So from this mathematical formulation, now we can again simplify this term. So we are getting the term, that is n alpha beta, in bracket, that is we separate out this term, the which will be the component, that is I alpha into cos del, plus I beta into sine del into cos phi minus d. This will be the one term, plus I can write plus, similarly we can get, that is minus I alpha into sine del plus I beta into I beta into cos del into sine phi minus del, bracket complete. So friends, as we know that this will be the term, this will be the resultant f from direct and quadrature axis. So this term, that is I the alpha cos del plus I beta sin del, this whole term be treated as in the one component. That component we call it as id, okay, and this whole component will be called it as iq. Why we call it as? Because it will give you the component, that is id and iq. Now we can get the resultant of your dq model. So what we are getting, the resultant of this term, so that will be the f. We can get it as f into n alpha beta is equal to id, because we can replace this whole term by the id. So it is id cos phi d del plus iq, that is sine phi del. So from this we can get the Park's transformation with the help of direct and quadrature axis current. So again I can write this term for your sake of understanding. So we can get again f is equal to n into alpha beta, we call it as id into cos into phi minus del plus iq into sine phi minus del. So now we can rewrite this equation by means of direct and quadrature axis current. So if you want to get the value of id and iq, I can write the equation, that is id and iq is equal to, in terms of the matrix, so id and iq is equal to basically the cos del into sine del, similarly minus sine del into cos del with reference to your alpha and I beta. So these are the terms. So we are getting, friends, this will be the very important equation in concern with your id and iq, because as we know that id will be basically responsible for production of your flux, okay, and iq will be responsible for the torque. So by means of that, we are getting the rate of change of flux with respect to the time. That will be the, we are getting the terminology, or we are getting the equations of id and iq. So these id and iq are nothing but the component with respect to rotating frame that we want to understand in concern with that particular equation. So this will be the equation that we have already derived here. So this will be the component id and iq. This is a Park transformation. So it is cos theta sin theta minus sin theta cos theta I alpha beta. So we can prove this by the help of different expressions. So this will be the same derivation that we had proved by means of the different phasor representation of your circuit. Okay, so this will be the id iq cos del sin del minus sin del cos del I alpha into I beta. So we are getting the term in terms of your rotating frame. So this will be the concept of the conversion of your rotating frame of your Park transformation in concern with your D and Q model of your induction motor. Now we want to get the detailed understanding of this terminology by means of again the phasor representation. So this will be the DQ model of your induction motor. So DQ model will be represented by the direct axis current and quadrature axis current. So it is a 3-phase to 2-phase transform model of your induction motor. So it is 3-phase to 2-phase. So as we have, this will be the alpha axis that we had already known. So this will be the beta axis. So these are the stationary frame. Now we want to convert by means of this the direct axis, and this will be the quadrature axis. This will be the quadrature axis. Okay, now I can erase this term. So we can get the terms in detail. Okay, so we can get the terms in detail. What will be the representation? So friends, I can only call it as, this will be the alpha term, this will be the beta term, this is the stationary frame. Now we have converted into beta, that is rotating frame, that is D, that is dark line, this is quadrature axis. So from that particular quadrature axis and direct axis, we are getting the component, that is direct axis component will be give you the production of your flux, and quadrature axis will be give you the production of your torque. So as we know that this will be the value of theta, that we know each and every term, and angle between the direct and quadrature axis will be the 90 degree, and this will be represented by the resultant phasor. We call it as F, and we have already derived each and every term in concern with the Park's transformation of your induction motor. Okay, so now we can get the very important concept. So after this transformation of the DQ model, we are getting the value of IDS and IQS. And what doing by the IDS? It is direct axis current, and this will be the quadrature axis current. So as we know that the three-phase quantities are available in the DC quantity, which is called as time invariant, because as we know that these all waveform, if the three phase are there, these are the time variant. But while we are converting into a phase transformation, these all values are converted into a time invariant. So this will be considered as a DC quantity. If the DC quantities are there, so there should be a simple calculations are there. So that's why these all quantities are converted into a DC quantity. Therefore we are getting very important term, that is called as a current. So I can write this value of your current, that is a value of your current, that is stator current. It is a square root of both IDS square plus IQS square, where IDS, it is the direct axis component of your current, that is direct axis component of your current, and IQS is the quadrature axis component of your current. And as we know that it is the value of your total stator current. So stator current is equal to the rotor current, and rotor current are divided into two components because it is a stationary frame. Now it will be converted into rotating frame. So these are the converted into a IDS, that is the D-axis component and quadrature axis component. So that will be the very important concept. So friends, from this now we can get very important characteristics. So these are called as the steady state phases in terms of its peak values. So the first phasor representation will be represented by the production of your torque component, that will be represented by your direct axis. Okay, direct axis component. So basically the first phasor will be responsible for the production of your component, which is called as in concern with your quadrature axis, and second, that is increase in flux. Because as we know that friends, in that particular figure we can take this is as a production of ID, we call it as the production of flux. So this figure B will be for your flux, and this is Q for your torque. Because as we know that the currents are basically responsible for production of flux and torque, because from induction motor we are getting the value of your flux, that is the rate of change of flux will produce the EMF, and we are getting the power from your induction motor, that is mechanical power, and that is the product of your into torque into speed. So what we are getting from that particular phasor? So first friends, we are seeing the phasor number first, that is phasor number A. This is the steady state phasor. So in steady state phasor we are getting the value of basically the value of your flux should be remaining the constant. So it is phi r is equal to phi m. So this will be the d-axis component. So this will be the d-axis component friends. So without changing the d-axis component, we want to get the value of the torque with respect to your q-axis component. So this is q-axis component. So in q-axis component, if you want to get the value of the torque, so we are just increasing these q-axis component by means of the source voltage, that is Vs, and the current, that is q-axis component of your current, that is IQS. So by means of the production of this particular Vs and IQS, we are getting the torque component, because in that particular steady state figure we are getting the value of the IQS. So what should be the value of the IQS? So the first value of IQS is look like that, because this will be the first resultant of your IS, that is I transpose, for your first IQS. So if you are changing the value of the IQS, so this will be the first value of IQS. Now I can change the value of the IQS, that is for the second phasor. So while we are changing the value of the IQS, First time it will be the angle will be theta, now it will be the angle that is called as theta dash. So by means of the changing of the component of the IQS, that is the quadrature axis current, we are changing the value of your torque. That will be the steady state, very important phasor characteristics. So the increase of the torque component of your current, you want to increase the value of your IQS. Okay, so this is called as the increasing value of IQS, because this will be the first time and now this will be the second time. So we are getting resultant, that is first resultant, we are getting the second resultant. So by the changing of this value of the IQS, we can change the value of your torque. So this will be the first concept. And for the second concept, now friends, we want to change the value of IDS, because now we want to take the IQS will be constant. So this will be the IQS will be remain as it is. Okay. So now we want to change the value of IDS. And how we can change the value of IGS? By the changing of your flux. So now we can change this value of flux. So the first value of your flux, that is rotor, that is phi r, now it will be changing to phi dash r. So the first value of IDS will be look like that. So the first resultant of this term, which will be called it as IS, or we call it as F resultant for the first. Now we can change the value of your current, that is to the IDS. So this will be the second by the changing of flux. If you are changing the value of your IDS component, that is a direct axis component of your current, because previously it is theta, now it is theta dash. So if you are changing the value of this current, we are getting the change in flux. So by the changing of flux, we can get the very important resultant, that is DQ model of your induction motor. So that will be the concept of your steady state phasor representation of your DQ model of your induction motor. So now friends, some of the observation from that particular phasor diagram. While we are increasing the ID component, the increase in flux without affecting the torque. So friends, we are getting one important term. While we are increasing the value of IDS, so increase in flux will be possible without changing in the torque. Similarly, if you want to increase the component of your QS, so it will be changing the value of your torque without affecting the value of your flux. So simple thing, we call it as, while we are changing the value of your IDS, we can change the value of your flux, and while we are changing the value of IQS, we can changing the value of your torque. So that will be the concept. So friends, basically, while we are studying this phasor representation, the both values of IDS and IQS, because in that particular figure we are controlling the value of IQS, and in that particular phasor representation we can control the value of IDS. So this control of IDS and IQS are both independent. So that will be the very important nice observation in concern with this phasor representation. So as shown in figure, because of the orthogonal orientation of torque and flux components, they can be controlled independently, because in previously case, if these are all the rotating phases, or we call it as this will be a three-phase quantity, so the each and every phase will be dependent on the time. But in concern with the D and Q axis component, these all terms are independent on the time, so it is a time invariant. So this is called as the orthogonal orientation, which is called as the arbitrary point. So due to that, the component which is IDS and IQS both are independent on each other, or they can control independent on each other. So by means of that, we can control independently the value of the flux. Similarly, we can control the independently value of your torque. So that will be the very important advantage of your DQ model of your induction motor. So friends, in this way, we have detailedly studied the DQ model, that is direct and quadrature axis model of your induction motor. Thank you.